Just when you all thought you could escape all these stupid end of year list award thingies, I had to come in late like I always do with my own lists. Okay, and this isn't even the end of them. Unlike in 2023, where I didn't get my video out until March, and it was a big long video with every single one of my lists, I decided this year I'd do it at the beginning of the next year. And I would do one video for my music lists and one video for my anime lists. That anime video will probably be late January or early February. I kind of put a lot of seasonal stuff on hold to focus on my music lists. That video will be in about a month. But I thought, all right, let's get out this music list, or these music lists, sorry. So I have 3 lists for you guys, and then I have a couple little award thingies like I did in my other video. In this video, I'm going to be covering best albums of the year, best EPs of the year, and best songs of the year. I don't have worst categories because I don't care to finish a lot of bad stuff if I'm not recording it. And so if you want to know what my least favorite albums of the year were, I listened to both Vulture's albums and thought they were bad. And MGK and Trippie Redd's Genre Sad Boy was my least favorite album of the year. So that, I mean, I basically, you guys saw me listen to all the bad music I listened to this year. There's like a couple songs that were unavoidable on Twitter, but for the most part, you've seen it all. And so I want to talk about music that I like from this year. I think 2024 is probably the new best year of music I've seen. It started a little slow, and then it just started. There's so many good albums this year. It just kept swinging. In fact, I missed quite a few albums. I spent almost all of December trying to catch up, and I'm still missing a lot of albums. And so these lists are subject to change. I should clarify that. I feel like this intro is way too long. Let's get into best albums first. I got 10 of them. Starting at number 10. I have Eric DOA's DOA. And this one might be surprising to some people. I know it's not rated the highest on a lot of music sites, but if you saw my reaction video, you know that I absolutely loved this album. I thought it was fantastic. A bunch of really catchy pop songs on there. I think it was a return to form for Eric after Things with Wings, which I was not the most crazy about. What just happened to my camera? Whatever. I thought DOA was great. Not quite COA level, but that's one of my favorite hyperpop projects ever. So Eric really killed it this year. This probably won't be the last time you hear of him on one of these lists. I really enjoyed his output, and I think DOA is well worth a listen, especially considering how short it is. Like, I think if you haven't checked this one out, it might be a bit of a sleeper pick. I would get on that. At number 9, I have Igloo Ghost's Title Memory EXO, which might be a mistake. Okay, I will just clarify that now. It came out around halfway through the year, and I decided to listen to it because I've enjoyed some Igloo Ghost stuff in the past, and I really liked the album. Don't get me wrong, clearly I put it at number 9. I thought it was amazing. I scored it like a 92 or something. But I haven't had the urge to like return to it. There haven't been a lot of standout tracks that have stuck in my rotation. And so it's possible I had like this honeymoon effect with the album and just really enjoyed it on first listen. But if I returned to it, I wouldn't like it as much. I feel like I should clarify all of that while still saying I really enjoyed the album. I thought it was really well produced. There were a lot of great songs on there. I just need to be transparent that out of the 10 albums here, that is the one I'm least confident on being in my top 10. So I wouldn't like strongly recommend it, but if you've been a fan of Igloo Ghost stuff in the past, definitely check it out. I think there's a very high chance you end up enjoying it. At number 8, I have Paranol's Sky 100. I don't think it's quite of the same quality as After the Magic, which I gave a really high score last year. I forget where I placed it on my end of year list, but it was a fantastic album. And this one is fantastic too. You still get those great ethereal highlights, the great shoegaze production with like still remaining clear in a lot of the elements that you can individually pick out. But I do think there are some songs that overstay their welcome a little bit. I do think there are some vocal moments that don't quite live up to some of the moments on After the Magic. It's still fantastic. And if you're a big Parannoul fan, it's a must listen in my opinion. There are some wonderful songs. In fact, one of them might be in my top songs list. You gotta wait for that. Okay, there's a timestamp. You gotta wait for that. Yeah, Sky 100, fantastic. And I have it at my number 8 spot. At number 7, I have Jordy Griep, The New Sound. Jordy Griep, he was the lead singer of Black Midi, I believe. Black Midi, fantastic band, but they're currently on hiatus. So Jordy Griep decided to put out a solo album, and it is wonderful. It's a wonderful album. I really appreciate the liberties he takes with his vocals. I think Black Midi, he was almost trapped in a certain style, and this New Sound album allows him to explore a bunch of different ideas, and it's still just as exciting and intense as Black Midi at times. And there's also some more gorgeous and discreet moments in the album as well. It has something for everyone who likes more complicated production. And yeah, the instrumentation is fantastic. I think Jordy is an incredible vocalist. And so yeah, it deserves all the credit it's getting and the high scores it's getting on these album ranking sites. It is one of the most important albums of the year, I think. I have it at number 7. At number 6, I have Vince Staples' Dark Times, which I don't know if it's a hot take to say or not, but I think this album is underrated. Okay, it's rated pretty highly on a lot of these album ranking sites, but I think the way Vince tells a bunch of stories on this thing and how focused both the production and the lyricism are, it's very calculated and compact, and pretty much the entire thing is focused and fantastic. I loved a bunch of songs. Obviously, I will have one of the songs in my best songs, and it was so hard to pick one because so many of these songs are so well written. They have a catchy hook. None of it is ever too obnoxious, too intense. It's very laid back, but it's very dialed in and focused. And so I think if you are a Vince fan, it is a must listen. It's an essential listen in his catalog. I think I do still prefer Big Fish Theory by a slight margin, but they're in the same conversation for me. And Big Fish Theory is one of my favorite hip hop albums ever. So I do think Dark Times is a wonderful experience. And if you didn't check it out because it might not be as popular as some of the other albums on the top of the lists, I would recommend checking it out. It's a fantastic listen. That's my At number 5, I have Magdalena Bay with Imaginal Disc, which I don't think surprises anyone to be on my list. It is produced immaculately, and some of the hooks on this thing will be stuck in your head for days. They're incredibly well performed. I think this album is a step up from Mercurial World, which is saying a lot because that album was amazing too. So Imaginal Disc, it's just the production is pristine on this thing, and I think it's also just a great album experience. The way the tracks flow back to back, it's just a wonderful experience, which I think is really important to have as you get closer to the top of this list, because many of these artists are nailing that album experience rather than just great collection of songs. So if you're looking for that more conceptual album experience, Imaginal Disc is well worth the listen. I don't know why you wouldn't have listened to it yet. Maybe the length like puts you off, but you have to check this album out. It's amazing. At number 4, I have JPEG Mafia, I Lay Down My Life For You. Hands down, some of the most crazy JPEG Mafia production to date. I think the features on this album were very well picked. Okay, you had Denzel Curry, Vince Staples, like these are some more of my favorite hip-hop artists, and I think their contributions were great. I always say this, somehow JPEG Mafia manages to switch up his sound, like his production style on every single album, and this album is no exception. Scaring the Hoes had a very particular production style, and this album decided to go in more of almost a rock direction. Not calling it a rock hip-hop album would be unfair, but a lot of the production relies on more natural instrumentation, a lot of heavy riffs, and it's just really fun to listen to. I think there are a ton of highlights on this thing. It's another essential JPEG Mafia album. After, you know, you have Cornballs, you have LP, you have Scaring the Hoes, you have Veteran. This is another essential album. JPEG Mafia managed to kill it again. He's quickly developing one of the best discographies of the modern era, if not in all of music for me personally. So I do think this album was terrific and well worth your time. It's not fair. Number 3, I have Porter Robinson's Smile. This is the first Porter Robinson album release that it came out, and it's not my album of the year. I'm sorry, Porter. Okay, I gave Nurture my album of the year. I gave Worlds my album of the year. Smile doesn't quite make the cut, but that should not discredit Smile, okay? The album is spectacular. It is definitely one of the best albums of the year. Porter's level of vulnerability, while not quite on the level of Nurture, it still is present. The vulnerability is still there on plenty of songs. You have songs like Everything to Me or Easier to Love You, even something like Russian Roulette, where he is opening up a lot, but the electronic production is very unique on this one. It's not what you could, like, if you listen to Worlds and Nurture, Smile has a very different feel to it, but Porter executes on it super well. I think a lot of the songs are super exciting and fun, and if you haven't checked this one out, whether you're a Porter fan or not, I think you will be able to get something out of it, because the candid writing and the production style is just amazing. It was an amazing experience. I had an album reaction on my channel if you want to see my thoughts on some of the songs. Smile, absolutely amazing album. The fact that Porter didn't get my number, like, I glaze Porter so much, okay? Worlds is my favorite album of all time. I just got the 10th anniversary vinyl, okay? It's like holographic, really cool. I haven't opened it yet. I already had a Worlds vinyl. I'm just saying, okay? I think number 3 of the year is fair with how phenomenal the music that's come out this year is. So let's see what my number 2 and my number 1 are. Number 2, I have Origami Angel's Feeling Not Found. Okay, I don't know if you guys remember. In my 2023 list video, I discussed how I think it's the Brightest Days mixtape. It was such a disappointment from Origami Angel for me. They are one of my favorite bands ever, and I was not satisfied with that mixtape. I felt like it was a step back in terms of how the songs were produced, and the songwriting did not have the same charm that Gami Gang and Somewhere City had. Feeling Not Found is a return to form for Origami Angel, Every song is killer. You have these fantastic hooks that are super catchy and well performed, very similar to something like Somewhere City. And then almost all these songs deconstruct into this like crazy heavy music. Like the way the song structure almost dissolves and the songs become super intense while still having that pretty edge to them with how the hooks are delivered. It is some of Origami Angel's best material to date. I still prefer Somewhere City. It's one of my favorite albums of all time, so it was going to be hard to beat it. It comes close. Feeling Not Found is absolutely spectacular, so I highly recommend it. If you've not heard of the band, or if you love the band and you haven't listened to it, give it a go. I think it is one of the coolest albums of this year. And then at number 1, if you watched my last reaction video, you were not surprised. I have Tyler the Creator's Chromacopia. Every aspect of this record is terrific. The writing on songs like Take Your Mask Off, Hey Jane is some of the best writing I've heard this decade. The production has so many unique quirks to it that even on your 10th, your 11th listen of this record, you will still be hearing new stuff because it is that thought out with how it's produced. All the features add to the project. There's not features that, diminish the quality. There is a lot of fun on this album. There's a lot of vulnerability on this album. Some of Tyler's best flows, some of Tyler's best production, some of his best writing, all across this project. I like it more than Igor, which was one of my favorite. It's probably a top 25, maybe 30 album all time for me. So Chromacopia delivered. It blew me out of the water with my expectations. It is just, it's proving that Tyler cares a ton about these album concepts, and he wants to deliver something that people will be listening to the entire thing front to back in a decade or two from now, as opposed to a lot of current hip-hop artists that are after a big hit song that will probably die in 5 years. Tyler is one of the best doing it in the game right now, and he proves it with this album. It is my album of the year. 2 hip-hop. Last year I had Scaring the Hose as my favorite, so we had a hip-hop album 2 years in a row as my album of the year. Fantastic job to Tyler, and yeah, I cannot praise the album enough. It is a must listen if you have not listened to Chromacopia. Literally no excuse not to listen to it. It is fantastic. All right, next, we have a much shorter list. Okay, I had a top 10 albums. I have a top 5 EPs. Okay, I don't listen to as many EPs, but I wanted to cover some of these because I think they're interesting. So at number 5, I actually checked this out about a week ago. I have Falling with Scissors, The Death and Birth of an Angel. This is some of the most brutal and intense music I've ever heard in my whole life. If you guys just heard a snippet, it's intense. It will knock your socks off. It has very unique and brutal writing, and I thought the way the messages were conveyed was interesting. I do think there's a little bit of filler in this EP. Not everything here needed to be here, but it's clear that there was a concept in mind, and the intensity of the riffs and also the vocal performances really sells this brutal atmosphere the band is trying to create. At least I think they're a band. Yeah, it's fantastic. There's like, okay, obviously there's metal aspects. There's like deathcore aspects. I think that's a genre. There's also breakcore like splashes on this thing. There's a ton of genre fusions. I think it's really ambitious, and I am excited to see what this band can deliver next, because this EP was a real surprise for me. I just saw it as one of the top EPs of the year on albumoftheyear.org. And it really surprised me. I thought it was really good. At number 4, I have Eric DOA, Why Suffer For Us, which I think a lot of Eric fans were disappointed by. And I can understand why. If you were following the rollout of the album, it was supposed to be an album. And there was it wasn't quite a subathon, but they had this long-running marathon stream on Twitch where Eric would have a bunch of different artists in the studio, different producers, and you'd see these songs be created live. And the idea was all of these songs would end up on the album, and you'd get to see almost the album process of Eric. And I didn't watch a ton of the streams, but the clips I saw were really entertaining, and you got to see a lot of snippets and different artists in the studio that you probably weren't expecting. I think Kid Laroi ended up there at one point. Obviously, Glaive ended up on the EP. That vision of this album didn't end up coming to fruition. This EP is, I think, 6 songs or something. The only feature was one with Glaive, as far as I can recall. But at the same time, I think this EP has a lot of quality on it. I don't think Eric placed anything here that was necessarily bad. I enjoyed pretty much all the songs on it. I just think a lot of people gave it a lower score because they were expecting this great album to come out from Eric, and it ended up being cut short. And I do think it's really unfortunate the project didn't turn out how Eric wanted it, because artists shouldn't have to deal with that. Artists should be able to put out a product that they are proud of and that can stand by. And I think Eric wanted a lot more songs on this thing. He wanted a lot of those collabs to end up on this project, but because of different label decisions, it wasn't meant to be. So I liked it a lot. I think there's some great material on there, but I can understand why people don't enjoy it as much. But yeah, I have it at my number 4 because I thought some of the songs on it were amazing. Tell me what you want, tell me what you need. Just give me the words. At number 3, I have Haru Nomuri and Frost Children with Soul Kiss. First of all, one of the coolest collabs I've seen in recent times. Okay, I'm a big Haru Nomuri fan. I got into Frost Children a few months ago, and they definitely had chemistry on this thing. There were some crazy intense moments, and the production style, I think, matches both Frost Children and Haru Nomuri. Both artists have this level of intensity with how they present themselves, but at the same time, they're very distinct with their styles. And I think this EP managed to present something intense while still remaining true to both their production styles. It didn't feel like one was taking priority over the other. Haru Nomuri and Frost Children managed to feel comfortable on this thing, and it was clear from how they performed that they were comfortable. I thought it was an amazing little EP. It surprised me a lot. If you were on the fence about checking this one out, you're like, oh, I'm a big Frost Children fan, but I've not heard anything from Haru Nomuri, or vice versa, then go ahead and check it out. It's not too long. You'll get some great intense bangers. So yeah, I think Soul Kiss is great. At number 2, this one's controversial, but I have to be honest with what I'm listening to, okay? I have Symphony Part 1 to be exact, at my number 2 spot. Symphony is a return for an artist named Sewer, and this is a new moniker to I think, to move on from a lot of the controversy, but also surrounding the name, but also to kind of pursue a new artistic idea. And so I don't think Symphony is going for something as dark as some of those older albums. It's more so just fun, well produced. You still have those breakcore moments, those drum and bass moments, but I think this EP was killer. It was killer. There's only one song that I thought was a little bit grating. Let me actually find out which song that was. Grinding of the Teeth is what it was called. Grinding of the Teeth is the only song on this EP that kind of frustrated me a little bit. I was like, I don't necessarily want to continue listening to this song over and over again. All the other songs have stuck in my rotation. I've loved all of them. I think this is some of Symphony's best output to date. And yeah, if you're looking for some crazy breakcore, some melodic drum and bass stuff, it's amazing. Okay, I can understand not checking out the artist because of the controversies. I totally get that. But me personally, I checked it out and I thought it was really good. So yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. At number 1, I also have Symphony. I have Smoke It to the Butt, which, okay, we'll ignore the whole EP title and cover art and all that, and we'll focus on the music, because I don't think there's a bad song on this EP. I don't think there's even one mediocre song. I think they're all good to great, and I think the more ambient tracks are still wonderful. I think the more intense breakcore drum and bass stuff is intense. Symphony has proven with this EP that we will continue to see more and more improvements over time, and I'm really excited for if we end up seeing a Symphony full-length album, because I thought this is a fantastic EP, and I'm very excited to see what's next in store from Symphony. Next, we got best songs. Okay, I had 10 albums. I had 5 EPs. I have 25 songs for you guys. Okay, I collected a lot of these, and I am going to clarify the rules. I think just like last time. Actually, last time I limited it to 1 per album, I think. 1 song per album. This time it's 1 per artist, because there's some artists on here that released several projects throughout the year, but for sake of variety, I want to keep it interesting. I have 1 song from each artist on this list. So let's see what I got. At number 25, I have Crystal T with Buddy Buddy. It's a fantastic little track from Crystal T. I don't know if I think Crystal T is a band, so I'll say they. I loved their EP from, I think it was 2020. Yeah, I loved the Pink Movie EP. In fact, I gave that a 10. Okay, so I was really excited for this album. I wasn't going crazy over every song on this album, but Buddy Buddy has remained in my rotation. I love this song. I think it's really catchy. It's fun to hum along to, and it has that really fun J-pop while being Korean production style. It's really unique and well worth a listen if you have yet to check it out.
What you say it again?
At 24, I have Two Hollis, Say It Again. This album had a ton of variety on it, but Say It Again spoke to me in a certain way with how it's produced. It has this nostalgic EDM style production, but it remains within the sound palette of the album. It still felt true to Two Hollis, and it's a banger. Okay, it's just a fun song to listen to. I have it at 24. At 23, I have Inabaku Mori with I Am Rain, which is a Vocaloid track, and I'm a huge fan of Inabaku Mori. I believe this is the only song that was released in 2024 from Inabaku Mori, and it's terrific. Okay, there's some songs I like from that artist more, but I Am Rain has a great hook, and it keeps you on your toes with its production style. It's not super obvious. It keeps switching things up, and it stays interesting the entire time.
Look, mama, no hands. No.
At 22, I have Joey Valence and Bray with No Hands. There's a lot of great songs on this album, a lot I could have picked from, but the title track, I think, has a really charming production style, and there's a lot of fun one-liners on it. It's just, if you're looking for some fun hip-hop with maybe some classic hip-hop style production, it's right up your alley. You got to give it a go. At 21, I have Wish Lane with String Theory. Again, wonderful album. A lot of great picks here. I ended up going with String Theory. It's the song that made me decide to check out the album. And I think if you're looking for something in this kind of hiatus of breakins, it has a lot of breakins tendencies to it while still remaining unique with the production style. It's really catchy, and a lot of those lyrics are super compelling and hit hard. So even if you're not the biggest fan of breakins, if you were like, I thought Hypochondriac was corny, I liked the production style and the vocals, but I just couldn't get behind the lyrics, Wish Lane is still worth a go. Okay, String Theory, great place to start. I think the lyrical content's fantastic. This song was great. At 20, I have Julie with Feminine Adornments. Julie, I think, has released some fantastic music in the past. And while the new album had its ups and downs for me personally, Feminine Adornments might be my favorite Julie song. It is so good. The way the guitars come in and how her voice kind of fits into that song is just wonderful. It has an intensity to it, but it also has a beauty to it. And it's just fantastic. Well worth a listen.
No blood, no say so, no blood, no man.
At 19, I was talking about them earlier. I have Haruna Murray and Frost Children with Daijobu Desu. And this song is such a punchy way to start the EP. It's absolutely incredible. It has the energy that comes from both artists. It really feels true to what they were shooting for. And I think this is the best example of this match and how they kind of fit together. So yeah, if you're looking for something intense and fun and ridiculously crazy and over the top, Daijobu Desu is a must listen. At 18, I have Vince Staples' Shame on the Devil. It was so hard to pick a song from the Vince Staples Dark Times album. You have no idea. I ended up going with Shame on the Devil because it has this elegant and crisp production with one of the catchiest hooks on the album. Yeah, Shame on the Devil is probably the one I've returned to the most. I know a lot of people really mess with Black and Blue, but me personally, I think Shame on the Devil edges it out slightly. Regardless, entire Vince Staples album is well worth a listen. But yeah, Shame on the Devil is probably my favorite from it. It's amazing. At 17, I have Paranol Gold River. Oh my gosh, this song is spectacular with how ethereal it is. The vocal performances are some of the best in Paranol's catalog. I think that the production is also just superb. This song blew my mind, and it's no wonder it was, I think, the only single. It might have been the second single for this album, but it's clear why it was chosen. It's just mind-blowing, and Paranol continues to deliver fantastic material year to year, and this song is no exception. At 16, I have Magdalena Bay with Death and Romance. Again, okay, so incredibly hard to pick one song from this album, but I think Death and Romance stays in my, like, it's consistently the song that's stuck in my head the most frequently, and you can't really go wrong with those keys, the way it feels super futuristic, and the vocal delivery on this song is amazing. It's just really fun to sing along to. Yeah, I have Death and Romance at 16 because I thought it was super impressive. At number 15, I have Jordy Griep with Holy Holy, which I think, as amazing as that album is, Holy Holy is a standout. It's one of the best songs of the year, undeniably, with how it's produced being on par or maybe even surpassing Black Midi's production, and the vocal delivery from Jordy really sells the song. It's impressive, it's fun, it's intense, it'll have you on the edge of your seat. It's just a terrific song that I think is a good litmus test for if you'll end up enjoying the album. So Holy Holy, I have at 15, which some people might think is too low. That, if anything, that should show how fantastic the song is, that if you haven't checked it out, people are going to be flaming me in the comments for putting it at 15. Okay, everyone loves this song because it's great. At 14, I have Eric DOA with Last June. This song isn't like gonna blow your mind with how next level it is. It's just super catchy, super fun, and the production hits like a truck when that chorus comes in. It's a short and sweet banger, and it's one of Eric's better vocal performances as of late. So yeah, I have Last June at 14. I think it's spectacular and a great display of Eric's both his vocal chops and his ability to write a great hook. At 13, I have Jamie Page with Dyad, I think it's pronounced. This song blew my mind. I decided to check this album out because it was a 2024 release, and I've heard some stuff from Jamie Page. Absolutely fantastic Vocaloid artist. This song features some more natural vocals while still having those splashes of Vocaloid, and the combination on this thing it's just really good. I think the way those production hits come in when the choruses come in, it always packs a punch. Like, sometimes I'll be listening to this song and the chorus will hit and I was like, oh my gosh, that was so surprising, and I'll just run it back because I just love how the chorus comes in every single time. So if you're looking for kind of a blend of Vocaloid, maybe some splashes of hyperpop and indie-tronica, Jamie Page Dyad, great place to start if you're curious about the album. At 12, I have Biba Doobie with Take a Bite. And I'm going to get into this album in a second. This song was just a wonderful standout for me. It was a single that kind of dropped randomly. Obviously, it was in the rollout process, but I think it is one of Biba Doobie's best hooks. It has this nice blend of sweetness with how she delivers all of her lyrics, but also the way the song is produced. It's just got this splendid, not to use the word again, but sweetness. It's just a sweet song and it makes you feel great. It doesn't bore you. I know some people might think some of Biba Doobie's stuff is too slow or might be too relaxing. This song keeps you engaged while still having that wonderful vocal performance from Biba Doobie. I think Take a Bite is a true highlight of this year. It's a great song. At 11, I have Quirkay with Texas Blue. Now, picking a Quirkay song was hard this year, okay? Because Scrapyard had the majority of the songs already drop in 2023. And this was kind of a surprise mixtape from Quirkay. I think Texas Blue, out of the 2024 releases on that mixtape, was my favorite. Okay, you have Kevin Abstract from formerly from Brockhampton. The synergy the two artists show and the performance with that piano part driving the entire song is some of my favorite production this year. It is so good. And the way it closes the album, I think Texas Blue is one of the best album closures of the year. This song blows me away. It's so gorgeous, okay? Quirkay is one of the most versatile artists, I think, coming up right now. And this song proves it. Oh my gosh, I love this song so much. I cannot believe I have it. It's not even top 10. But that's how incredible the music that's dropped this year is. Okay, let's get into my top 10. At number 10, I have Glass Beach with Guitar Song. Glass Beach dropped an album this year. Plastic Death, I think it was called. And it's not my favorite album of the year by any means. I think First Glass Beach album, one of my favorite albums of all time. And so I was really looking forward to this release. And Guitar Song just took me places. Okay. It's got this really nice drive to it with just the vocals and the guitar. There's other production aspects of it that are super compelling, and you'll catch on to a lot of those as you re-listen to it. But Guitar Song is just a beauty. Okay. I love this thing to death. I think, like I said, the performances all around are just super impressive. So yeah, Guitar Song, easily top 10 for me. At number 9, I have JPEG Mafia with Ex-Military. It was really hard to pick a song from this album. There are so many standouts, but I think Ex-Military is, I think it's the longest song on the album, and the blend of so many different production styles keeps this song incredibly interesting the entire runtime. I think the different inflections that Peggy hits on this song are super entertaining, and I think you just get the most bang for your buck, as opposed to a lot of those shorter bangers. They might hit harder than Ex-Military does, but Ex-Military is super consistently enjoyable for, I think, around 5 minutes. So I think it is one of the best songs of the year. Especially, you have like Peggy doing these growls, and like there's so many cool moments on this thing.
I don't. Oh, yes, you do. Okay, then tell me the truth. Every individual is only a version of you.
At number 8, I have Kendrick Lamar, Reincarnated. You thought I wasn't going to mention GNX in this video. I can't believe you. Okay. I didn't have it in my top 10 albums of the year, but it's really good. And Reincarnated is some of Kendrick's best writing on a song, I think, which is absurd. He wrote T-Pab, he wrote Good Kid, Mad City. Okay. But he went out of the box with his thinking on Reincarnated. Just the storytelling on the song is out of this world, and the focus on him and his dad's relationship on the second half, and the way those characters that are introduced at the beginning of the song end up impacting him and his dad as characters near that trail end of the song. And I think that part is absurd, and I think the production really matches the different characters and parts. It has a super natural and great progression to it. I absolutely loved the song. I know there's a lot of hits that people are probably looking toward more with Kendrick. Obviously, there were the diss tracks this year. I could see people putting some of those on their lists, but Reincarnated blew my mind, and I think it well deserves its placement.
There was something evil inside me, pointing my anger out. I would never sleep for long.
At number 7, I have Origami Angel with Dirty Mirror Selfie. Oh my goodness, you have no idea. This is the hardest song to put on this list for me, because there were so many good songs from Feeling Not Found, and I'm like bouncing around. I'm like, do I put Sixth Sense because the math is like really interesting on the song? Do I put something like HM Waterfall? Do I put AP Revisionist History? Do I put Living Proof? Do I put Where Blue Light Blooms? There's so many good songs on this album. I went with Dirty Mirror Selfie because I think the riffs are super intense and the lyrical content matches the pathos of Origami Angel the most. It's really charming while covering kind of a serious topic, but those riffs are still super intense throughout it. It's one of my favorite songs of the year. It's probably the song from the album I've played the most, and as much as I might regret not putting some of those other songs from this album up here, I love this song so much that I don't think I'm going to regret it. I love Dirty Mirror Selfie. I think the whole album is worth checking out, but again, Dirty Mirror Selfie, a great test for if you're going to enjoy the album a lot or not, because a lot of the riffs carry over between the songs with like in terms of level of intensity. So yeah, I loved Dirty Mirror Selfie.
I got my own brand. I don't need you to buy things because my needs don't include your money and status. I can move.
At number 6, it blows my mind the song is this low. I have Tyler, the Creator, Hey Jane. So many great songs like Chromacopia, but I think it was clear in my reaction that Hey Jane really took me off my feet and surprised me the most out of any song on there. Take Your Mask Off was the other one I was considering for this placement, but again, I briefly touched on it with Reincarnated. I think the songwriting from Tyler, telling the story from different characters' perspectives, how the production matches those two perspectives, is just utterly gorgeous. And the serious topic of the song, I think, is delivered with a ton of care. It's a really compelling song, and not to mention Tyler's delivery throughout is like, his flows are insane. He matches with the beat so well. He blends in. It doesn't feel like you're listening to a song. It feels like you're watching a short movie. That is the level of immersion this song provides you with. I cannot praise Hey Jane enough. I think it's one of the most slept on songs on the album because there's a lot of intense bangers that catch listeners' attention faster. Hey Jane, if you're a patient listener, you will grow to, like, you'll learn to appreciate the song on another level. It is just spectacular. At number 5, this one might be controversial, I'm not sure.
Yeah, 360. When you're in the mirror, do you know what you see? When you're in the mirror, you're just looking at me.
I have Charlie XCX with 360. There are a lot of great songs on Brat. Again, you probably thought I wasn't going to mention Brat. Of course I listen to Brat. There's so many good songs. You have Talk Talk. You have Apple, obviously. Mean Girls, I adored too. 360, I think, is one of the catchiest songs ever written. If I hear even a second of this song, it's stuck in my head the entire day. So I'm not even going to sing it or play it right now, because it'll be stuck in my head the entire day. Not to say that's a bad thing, but I have no choice in the matter. I don't know what it is about the song. It's got a really simple beat from A.G. Cook. He really did a good job there. And it's a really charming and fun song. It's amazing to sing along to. Some people probably think this song is overrated. Some people I've talked to hate the song. They think it sucks and can't believe it's as popular as it is. I think 360, one of the catchiest pop songs ever made, and it's just an absolute blast to listen along to and sing along to, that I would be dishonest if I did not put it in my top 5. I've listened to this song so much this year. At number 4, Jane Remover with Dream Sequence. I think this song is crazy slept on, okay? Flash in the Pan, absolutely amazing song. I could understand someone putting it on their list over Dream Sequence, but not for me. Dream Sequence is probably my favorite Jane Remover song to date. It's like up there with Let's Go Home for me, which I know a lot of people also disagree with me enjoying that song that much. But Dream Sequence, where do I even start? Produced immaculately, for one. I think it nails. It almost felt like a census designated extra, but it doesn't have the same shoegazy production. Jane is very articulate and clear on this song. The lyrical content is super visual and super compelling. I think the intense drop is one of the stupidest, craziest musical moments I've heard this year. The guitar riffs are fantastic. The outro closer is gorgeous. There is not a single aspect of this song I don't like. I listen to it all the time. I think it is incredibly impressive. And I think it's a shame that Jane Remover is already starting to stray away from that production style, because I could get a whole album with census designated similarities, but less shoegazy and more like clear cut rock. Because I loved this song. I think it is just utterly incredible. And yet I have it at number 4. I got 3 songs above it. And I'm gonna just say it right now. My big 3, as in my 3 favorite artists, okay? They are Porter Robinson, Eden, and Underscores. And they occupy all 3 of my top 3. The question is, what order will they be in? And what songs am I gonna pick?
Dress her up and make her pretty, even so you can't run from the urge.
At number 3, I have Underscores with Stupid Can't Run From the Urge. Yes, bro. Yes, this song. Okay, Underscores Girls and Boys is my favorite Underscores song. For about a year, it was my favorite song of all time. Stupid has a lot of production similarities to Girls and Boys. I think the storytelling is kind of humorous. It's entertaining. The hook is really catchy. And just like Girls and Boys, those production hits near the end of the chorus are like beyond satisfying. They are incredible, okay? I think this song is the best of the Wall Socket Deluxe material. It is a stupid, no pun intended, amount of fun. And I looped this thing a ton this year. So I have to have it super high. I have it at number 3 for that reason.
And I want it to be wrong when it's all done. Is there
At number 2, I have Porter Robinson, Is There Really No Happiness? I think that this is the best written song on Smile. I think it is super catchy. It has super visual lyrics, has a nostalgic vibe to it, and it's just really impressive. That call really adds to the fun and charm of the song, and it almost makes you feel guilty for the nostalgic experiences you get from listening to the song. It's just, it has everything you could want in a Porter Robinson song. The chord progression's amazing, the vocals are superb, and it's really catchy. It's really catchy. It'll be stuck in your head all day. So I loved it. I had a super emotional investment on my first listen. If you watch my reaction video, it's a great song. And then at number 1,
Replaceable chords on loop. I can't keep checking my phone.
I have Eden with Can't. Eden is currently doing a very confusing album rollout. Okay, he's released 4 songs for this album. And I really wanted to shout out Friday Night Song because I love that song to death. I think it is a great step in a new direction from Eden. I think Your Loss was great too. But I went with Can't because the amount of emotion Eden shows on such a simple song, he does a tremendous job with painting this picture. The lyrical content is heavy. The song, while simple in how it's produced, has this level of progression to it with how intense it is. The guitar performance is great, but the way the production starts to feel overwhelming at the end and it kind of fizzles out, just like Eden does expertly on so many different songs. I had such a tremendous emotional reaction to this song. I've listened to it so many times. I think it is my new favorite Eden song, which is saying so much. If you guys know me, I glaze Eden a stupid amount. He is the artist that got me into music as a serious hobby. So there are so many songs that I have intense emotional connections to. And yet, Eden Can't, a random throwaway song that isn't even part of the album rollout, is one of my favorite songs of all time. I can't, again, pun intended, stress how good this song is. It blows me away every single time I listen to it. Check it out if you haven't. Finally, I have 2 awards to give out, which are the biggest surprises. We have a good surprise and a bad surprise. Gotta end on a controversial note. So, biggest surprise in terms of a positive surprise, an album I thought would be a lot worse than it actually ended up being. It ended up being amazing, actually, is Eric DOA with DOA. After Things with Wings, I was hesitant to be like, okay, maybe COA was a fluke. You know, his debut album, what's it called? Public Target. Public Target was nothing special. COA was amazing. And then Things with Wings was okay. And so I was like, maybe Eric lucked out with COA. But no, DOA was amazing. It has some of Eric's best songs to date. And there are a lot of catchy moments on it. I thought it was an amazing album, which is not what I was expecting going into it. I was very hesitant. I was very cautious going into it. And it ended up being a wonderful surprise. Biggest surprise in terms of being a disappointment for me. I'm sorry to say it, guys. I have Biba Doobie with This Is How Tomorrow Moves. I thought there was some great material on this album. There are several songs that I thought, wow, she performed that really well, or I really like this song idea. But unfortunately, I think the large majority of these songs either struggle with the vocal style and production style clashing, or I think the song ideas weren't fully fleshed out, as opposed to Beatopia, which I think is an amazing pop album. There's so many good songs on that, and the way the songs kind of fit together managed to create a unique album experience. I think This Is How Tomorrow Moves struggles to really find its identity, and as a result, I was really disappointed by it. I thought Biba Doobie could deliver maybe a top 10 album of the year, but unfortunately that was not the case for me. I left the album fairly disappointed, which sucks because I'm a huge Biba Doobie fan. I put Take a Bite, number 12? I put it number 12 on my best songs of the year list. So I was rooting for her success. I was hoping I would love the album as much as Beatopia, but it just didn't hit the same for me. Sucks to end on a sad note, but I talked for an hour about fantastic music, okay? You cannot be frustrated with me. Sorry I yapped for so long. I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts, enjoyed hearing me rave about a ton of music I enjoyed this year. I hope my descriptions did a good job of leading you to something you haven't checked out yet. I hope you guys find something new from this album, or not from this album, from this video, and you end up finding some new music or a new artist you really like. I tried to provide as much variety as I could while still remaining honest with my list. If you guys enjoyed this video, I did a similar video last year on my 2023 lists that you can check out. I'm also going to be doing a 2024 end of year anime list video. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, I'll have probably those videos on my left and right if you want to check them out. Thank you guys so much for your support. And thank you for watching this entire video. Or if you just watched certain chapters, that's perfectly fine too. It's a really long video. So yeah, I appreciate all you guys. Stay tuned for this year. I have a ton of really cool projects planned. So stay tuned for all of those. All right. See you guys.